Let me think. When I was a teenager, we had a paper route, and my brother and I shared it most of the time. So one day, my brother was doing his side of the paper route, and he had to go alongside the highway.
David, you should take the highway.
Okay, Tommy.
And one day, he was either riding his bike or pushing it, I'm not sure which, and a car came along, and they went pretty fast on this highway. And a car hit him as he was delivering his papers.
Oh, watch it hit my car! Oh! Are you okay?
And he kind of bounced off the hood and dented the hood of the car. But his arm, and I think it was this arm, got caught on the ornament on the hood. And so it cut his arm like right up here, pretty bad. And he got probably 20 stitches or more. And I felt very bad because he had that side of the paper route, and he was my younger brother.
Do you have the other story about when you probably got hit?
Well, that was a funny story. Not funny, but funny. And a couple years later, I was going to go to college and transferring to Ohio State. And I drove up before school started to find an apartment. And as it turned out, I had to stay in a dormitory that first year anyway. So, when I was driving, I was probably not thinking good after that, and I turned left in front of another car, and he hit me. And he cut his arm right around there somewhere too.
Doggy Daddy!
So, I felt kind of bad about that, causing him to get hurt.
This ain't groovy at all. I need to call a tow truck.
But when the tow truck driver came, it turns out that the tow truck driver in Columbus, which was about 100 miles from our house, and about 2 or 3 years later, the tow truck driver was the same guy who was in the car driving and hit my brother David.
This right here is not cool. What happened, man?
Thanks for coming, cool cat. I need you to take it off to your shop.
You got it.
Maybe a few years earlier.
That is a really interesting story.
Oh, what's this?
Time to eat.
Oh,
Roast.
nice.
Will you tell me a story about your childhood from a long time ago?
Oh, well, let me think. Well, one time when I was about 6 years old, maybe, and my sister was 8 years old, we decided to try something different. And so my sister, Judy, she knew that our next door neighbor had a smoking habit. And so they weren't home one day, and so she went in their house, because we didn't lock our doors then or anything. She went in their house and she took some cigarettes out of their house. And she said, "Come on, Cheryl, let's go see what it's like to smoke." So, where do preachers' kids go to smoke? Where else? The church, right? Because that's what we were most familiar with. So, we walked the 3 or 4 blocks to our church. We called it the snake because it was like this to get to the church from our house. This was in Cortland, New York. We got to our church. It was called Bible Baptist Church. We went in the basement, and we went to the ladies' room. And so we got 2 cigarettes out. Judy got one, and she gave one to little Shirley. So, she remembered to get a lighter from their house, too. So, we got the lighter going, and we lit the end of the cigarettes. And then we went and it was so burny. Burned my throat. I thought, ew, yuck, this is awful. So we put the cigarettes out. We threw them in the trash. And we left the ladies' room. Went through the fellowship room in the basement, out the back door. Guess who met us at the bottom of the stairs at the back door? The preacher of the church. You know who the preacher of the church was?
Ew.
Our dad. And you know what he said to us? He says, "Girls, have you been smoking?" We said, "What? How would he know that?" And you know what we said? Uh-huh. And so he said, "Go home and go to your room." We shared a room. So we went home and we were terrified. We went up to our room and we sat on our bed, just waiting and waiting. Pretty soon, there stood our mom and dad in the doorway of our bedroom. And they just stood there, and they had this look on their face of total, complete disappointment in us. And I remember feeling so bad that I caused so much disappointment on my parents' face. And we never even got spanked. We never got grounded. And I think it was because they realized we learned our lesson the hard way, because neither one of us felt very good. But what brings back to mind is just the look on their faces that they were so disappointed in us. Number one, that we would steal cigarettes from somebody's house and then smoke them in church. So that's my story.
Well, that was an interesting story.
Oh, what's this?
We did
Is this my microphone?
roast.
Hello. Oh, you're roasting it.